Welcome back to Anxiety Slayer. Today on the podcast, we're responding to several listener questions asking us what helps when anxiety leads to feeling housebound or agoraphobic, including venturing out again after lockdown or when worried about getting COVID, even when the restrictions have been lifted. Welcome back, Ananga.
Hey, Shan.
It's always good to be with you and to answer listener questions. We've had so many come in, and I'm glad that we're able to respond. And today's is something, agoraphobia is something that has been coming through every day for weeks.
Yeah, I think it's a challenging thing anyway, but it's also a challenging time where we've had, lockdowns and concerns about being out for, it's been a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
I know for myself in the UK, when the first lockdown was declared, I remember writing in my journal how happy I was to be in, not happy about what was going on. I'm very concerned for those suffering, of course, but happy to be in and just have that expectation and pressure taken off. And I remember writing, I could happily do this for a month. Little did I know, I've been doing it for many months and have a few goes at it. But those of us that are quite introverted by nature can use those times to retreat, and we're glad of those times. But sometimes venturing out again can be challenging. And I think, the anxiety about leaving home is very complex and very personal. Not complex in difficult to get help for, but it can come from a number of different reasons. As with many types of anxiety, a good place to start is by asking ourselves some questions and gaining some clarity, gathering some information. It's a really individual experience, so finding out exactly what we feel anxious about is a good start.
It really is. And I think about the first few outings that I had after the restrictions were lifted. And even to this day, on occasion, I'm still not 100% comfortable being in very public settings. Many episodes ago, I talked about my daughter and I going to this butterfly exhibit and how stressful that was to be in that space, and didn't even expect it, to be in lines, to be waiting about with lots and lots of people. And it was just kind of like throwing a brand new fish in a tank that hadn't been treated yet, that hadn't, like, it was just shocking, so very shocking, which is a little bit different than agoraphobia in that I actually went out and did it. But I bring it forward because for many of us, especially those of us who work at home or who stayed at home the entire time, getting back out and getting back into the swing of things does take time. And I invite you to be really sweet with yourself. But getting back to the questions we can ask about why we're feeling uncomfortable about leaving home, I think that's going to uncover so much for you. For example, do you feel unsafe to be away from home? Do you fear being ill or having an anxiety attack? Perhaps it might feel overwhelming for you to be away from your safe haven, your safe place. Or maybe you feel anxious about being around other people. Perhaps it's something else. But once you know the specifics of the kind of anxiety that's coming up for you, you can use techniques like EFT tapping to dissolve the anxiety. And you can use breathing exercises to dissolve the anxiety. You can talk to a trusted friend. There's so many things that you can do to help you feel more confident and comfortable about leaving your home.
Sometimes it's also helpful to look further with those questions. For example, the question, do you feel unsafe to be away from home? To ask why and ask for more detail on that. Is it because you're concerned there may be COVID in your area and you're not comfortable venturing out with the possibility of that? Is it because you feel you need somebody with you for support? You don't want to go out alone? Does it feel unsafe to go out alone? Just keep asking. And journaling can be really helpful for that, to sit down with a pen and paper and give it some time and really look for the details. And then we know what to do next to get some support.
I love the idea of journaling and writing your answers down. for the value in leaving home and why you want to leave home, and really drilling down to the positive meaning for you to leave your safe place. And one of the exercises that we recommend that you do is list 3 places you'd love to visit and why you'd love to visit them. Maybe look at some pictures of people or places that you'd like to visit, and then focus on building the desire to leave home rather than the obstacles anxiety is putting between you and where you want to go. I have a real good example of this. After a couple of years in lockdown and being away at school, my daughter is feeling ready to spread her wings and visit some friends, and she'll need to take an airplane, and she's going to go by herself and do this. And for her, this is huge. And up until this point, she would have never done it. But she started to find positive meanings. She started to have conversation with the friend that she's going to visit. They worked things out to make it as easy and step by step as possible. And with all that being said, she's going to get on a plane and she's going to go visit her friend this summer for a few days. And it's huge for her. And 6 months ago, she would have never done it. But because of this finding the meaning and realizing that she wants to explore and she wants to build on this friendship and see something of the world on her own. And this just happened in the last 24 hours, which is really, really cool that she did it. Because this would normally be something she would talk about and then not actually make the investment and be all in. So if she can do it, you can do it. Just take your time and realize that it really is safe for you to venture out and do something that you love to do. And that by having as many of the details sorted as possible in advance will help you feel less anxious about that. And to also combine those with why you want to leave.
And I think also it highlights the importance of sharing with somebody you love and trust something you want to do, talking about it as a precursor to doing it.
Yeah.
And the word yet is very good in these situations. We're not able to go somewhere yet. But we can dream, we can hope, we can talk, we can gear up to it till the scales shift and the balance shifts and we feel, actually, I'm ready to do that. And also to remember that there are so many different ways and reasons for leaving home, and some of them may always feel challenging, and some will certainly feel easier than others. So to initially, if it all feels too much, focus on some gentle, small things. Maybe a trip to a gardens with a friend, or just walk to the end of your road and back. Every day for a few days, just a little mission out. We'll talk more after the break about how to set these things up. But to not fall into the trap of that black and white thinking of anxiety where we feel we can't do anything outside of our home. There may be some smaller things or some more enjoyable, more rewarding, more healing things that we can do. But that doesn't mean we can do all of it. And it doesn't mean we should feel that we can do all of it. There should be no shoulds here because it puts us under so much strain. So to treat individual ways of going out, different ways of going out, differently as they are different.
Yeah. And also to remember that anxiety may try to trick you into thinking that nothing works or that you're stuck like this. And anxiety is not telling you the truth. This is where EFT tapping comes in and is so highly effective in helping you move through agoraphobia. And this is a way to dissolve your anxiety and build your confidence. And if you haven't done any tapping before, we invite you to try it. You can go to anxietyslayer.com/EFT and we walk you right through the process. And we also have a number of free guided tapping sessions as well, and tapping sessions in our Patreon. After the break, we'll explore some more things that can help calm anxiety about leaving home. The Anxiety Slayer podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Life can be overwhelming sometimes, and many people are burned out without even knowing it. Many years ago, at the end of my corporate career, I remember having many days where I struggled to get out of bed. And even though we often associate burnout with work, that's not the only cause. If you're not feeling like yourself and this is resonating with you a bit too much, please consider seeking out support from a therapist at BetterHelp. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Anxiety Slayer listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/slayer. That's betterhelp.com/slayer. Ananga, let's talk about tapping for calming anxiety before leaving home.
This kind of tapping that we're going to share here is really helpful if you find that you really feel stuck at home and you're challenged to leave, but you just want to see if you can venture out a bit. So this is a way of using tapping to diffuse the trigger, the anxiety about actually going through your door and leaving your home. But you can use it for all kinds of anxiety about leaving. As you'll see as we talk through this, you'll get some ideas of different things you can do for yourself. So one way to do it is to try standing by your door and tap through the EFT points, which you can find on our website at anxietyslayer.com/EFT. There's a diagram there of all the tapping points. So stand by your door, take a few deep breaths, and just tap the points through, starting with the point at the top of your head. You don't need to use any words for this because you've put your body and mind in the situation that's provoking anxiety. We use the words to tune in, but this is a cool way of using EFT where you know what's up. You know what's disturbing you, so you're just putting your body in the situation and then using tapping to diffuse that anxiety. So standing by your door where you'd leave your home and tapping through the points and breathing, and look out for anywhere where you feel anxiety or tension in your body, resistance in your body, and just keep tapping and breathing until you feel more calm and more at ease. And then when you feel okay with that, put your hand on the door handle as if you're going to open it and go out and tap through again. A couple of minutes just tapping and breathing. Don't feel like you have to do anything. It's just about feeling more comfortable. That's all. No pressure, no expectation. You just keep your hand on the door, tapping and breathing, noticing where there's any resistance, anxiety, fear, tension in your body, and releasing that. Then you could put your shoes on and tap again. So you're just going through the preparatory steps of leaving home and diffusing any anxiety.
And then if you get that far, you can take a step outside and tap again while taking steady breaths. And the idea here is not to force yourself to go out, but to diffuse any fear around leaving home. You might choose to go through this exercise for a few days without actually leaving your house, but it's a good way to prepare for leaving. These small steps mean everything.
And you can also use tapping to mentally rehearse for situations where you may feel uncomfortable as well. Maybe you need to go to the grocery store, and you can mentally rehearse for that. Just go through it in your imagination and tap. Or you might choose to walk there or drive there and tap in the car before you go in, so you're comfortable going in. So reapplying what we've went through a couple of minutes ago to fit another scenario.
Right. Because the goal here is to keep drawing your mind back to what you can do and then build on it. And then this is where you can maybe visit a local park or go for a short walk or something that, again, doesn't need to be a big trip somewhere, a big outing by any stretch of the imagination, but it also can be. And this is just another way to be really sweet with yourself and to build some internal strength and self-appreciation.
Yeah. And remember to look at what you already can do. every day, rather than letting anxiety make you feel small, or sometimes anxiety makes us feel incapable, or we compare ourselves negatively to others. When we're really anxious, getting up, getting washed and dressed, preparing breakfast, those are big things. They become big things. So to look at what you have done and what you can do. If I'm going through a time where I'm really overtired or overstressed or some anxiety is coming up in me, I will affirm to myself throughout the day the littlest of things. Getting some laundry on the line, watering the plants, making something healthy to eat. I will list them out and affirm them to myself that I did it, because we need that support and grounded connection with what we can do to be able to keep going and do more. So don't let anxiety wipe out the areas where you're being brave, the areas where you're already doing so many things.
One of our listeners said that she just wanted to be me again. Feeling housebound was just too much, and she was ready to figure things out. And so here are some questions to sit with to get back to feeling like yourself. And the first is, how can you be indoors? And what do you like to do that you can do anywhere? So the first question, you might be craving being outside doing something perhaps in nature. Maybe you can bring some of that in, whether you have some herbs inside or whether you have a bouquet of flowers, or if you feel comfortable in your own yard, you can perhaps bring some of the outside in. In my home, I have shells and rocks and driftwood and all kinds of things from the outside in. And then also, what do you like to do that you can do anywhere? How can you be more yourself without it having to do anything with leaving your home? What does that look like for you? What music do you like to listen to? When's the last time you danced for the hell of it? When's the last time you perhaps practiced Qigong or yoga, or maybe redecorated or moved the furniture about or changed things up? That's something that, especially in wintertime for me, but it can be any time of the year, I like to change things up, move things about, make things just a little bit different. And that always feels good. And it's my choice, and I'm making a choice to change something. And in that change, it often opens up more space for more change.
Yeah. And the idea behind these questions is not to be defined by not going out, not to feel less than because leaving home feels too much. So to look for where you can be you without the definition of leaving home.
You can always invite a friend over or friends over and enjoy their company in your space. Maybe you can move it out to the yard if that feels comfortable for you, but you still get to enjoy yourself and your friends. Anxiety is always going to pull your mind to what you think you don't have or what you can't do or try to make you feel bad. Counter it by doing what you can do and noting with awareness and gratitude what you do have. In conclusion, there are 7 tips that can help you get out of the house that we want to share with you. One is to build a desire to go out rather than feeling pressure that you should go out. Find inspiration, desire, and meaning in moving beyond your current boundaries. Build enthusiasm and possibility by looking at pictures and thinking about the experience that you might have or that you'd like to have. And also with pictures, you can put them in a journal or on your fridge or in Pinterest or wherever you can see them to keep that experience top of mind. You can also learn skills to help dissolve your anxiety. We teach so many skills, and with over 500 episodes, almost 600, you can find many skills from EFT tapping to breathing exercises to guided relaxations to help you. We would love for you to invest time in learning EFT tapping because you can calm anxiety from any place, anywhere. You can use it to feel more comfortable when you leave home, to calm your specific fears and concerns, and to help you feel safe when you feel like running back home. And again, you can find the diagram and more information on tapping at anxietyslayer.com/EFT. You can also try tapping in our free Anxiety Slayer starter course, or work with a professional like a therapist at BetterHelp to help you feel safe and calm about leaving home. Thanks so much for listening to Anxiety Slayer. We appreciate you coming back every week and helping make us a top resource for anxiety relief.